Today I will be making a Spanish dessert called tres leches. It is a mainly moist cake with an extremely sweet frosting. But before we start making anything, we have to wash our hands nice and clean. Then we set out our ingredients for the actual cake. We used a half a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, an entire stick of unsalted butter, an entire cup of Domino sugar, and a cup and a half of all-purpose flour, along with 5 large eggs. Then we preheat our oven to 350 degrees, and while we wait, we add the ingredients all together. And make sure you melt your butter just a tad so that it's nice and soft when you mix it along with the sugar. So when you eventually get the butter out of the wrapper and put it into the bowl, you can mix it with the sugar. This should come out as a fluffy type mixture. It shouldn't take that long to mix either, if your butter is melted this way. After you add the butter and the sugar, you must add the 5 eggs. Make sure you don't get any eggshells in your mixture, or the cake will come out disgusting, or maybe just a tad crunchy. After you add the eggs, you have to add the half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then mix it all together into this egg type mixture will be the flavor to the cake batter. After you mix it extremely well, you add the baking powder and all-purpose flour mixture to the one you just made. And this will create the cake batter. But be sure to add the flour and baking soda 1 tablespoon at a time, or the batter will be messed up. Mix it in thoroughly before you add another set of tablespoons. After the batter is finished, it should look like this. Then you add it to a nice floured pan. You add the pan to the pan and sprinkle all-purpose flour onto it to make sure that it doesn't stick. It is a foolproof method. After the batter is completely smoothed out and even, you have to add it to the oven. Place it in the middle of the oven to make sure it doesn't burn, and set the timer for 30 minutes. This will ensure that your cake doesn't burn and comes out completely golden. Now we have to make the actual milk part for the inside. So we add carnation milk and sweetened condensed milk. These are both full cans of the 2 types of milk. And you have to scrape it out, the sweetened condensed milk, with something because it's very thick. and can stick to the can. Then you add 2 cups of regular whole milk. It can be any type of whole milk, any brand, it doesn't matter. Make sure the measurements are exact or it will not come out right. After adding all the milk mixtures, be sure to mix everything with a fork because the sweetened condensed milk is very thick and we have. Once our cake is finished, turn the timer off and carefully remove it from the oven. Make sure to wear your oven mitt. It protects you from getting burned. And if you have a flimsy pan like mine, you have to hold the bottom because it's a very heavy cake. And place it on a cooling rack and let it cool for about 10 to 15 minutes. But before you leave it, poke holes into it, a million different holes, because these holes make the milk sink into it and it soaks it up and gives it the flavor. So you just poke as much as you want. You have to get all the way down to the bottom of the pan or it won't come out right. And make sure to get it all the holes everywhere. But be careful not to poke a hole in the pan or the milk will release out of the bottom and you will be out of luck. Now it's time to add the milk after it's cooled. Just as a warning, mix the milk before putting it into the batter because the sweetened condensed milk tends to settle and I didn't mix it beforehand, so the bottom of the bowl will have a tad bit of sweetened condensed milk. Be sure not to mix or move the cake or your whole entire thing will be messed up. It has to settle by itself so that the cake evenly soaks up like a sponge all of the milk. Now to make our frosting. You add an entire cup of sugar with an entire tablespoon of pure vanilla extract this time. Get it exactly right because the nozzle in the vanilla extract is quite big, so be careful not to spill over. Then we add a cup and a half of heavy whipping cream. This is what gives it its very thick texture. Then we whip out our handy dandy mixer and we turn it on medium speed and swirl it all around the bowl until the frosting peaks. Make sure your peaks don't fall, and then you know your frosting is ready. Once the frosting is nice and thick, you spread it onto your cake, which, as you can tell, soaked up all of the milk by now. As I said in the beginning, this frosting is very sweet but light. It doesn't taste as thick as the store-bought frosting or whipped cream. It's lighter than those, but it's still very sugary. Make sure it's spread even or a bunch of frosting will be on one side of the cake and it won't taste as good. After this, you tightly seal it with either aluminum foil or a lid that comes with your pan or some type of plastic, anything that will seal it in. And then you transport your lovely tres leche to the refrigerator, and it has to be in the refrigerator for at least 4 hours and the most of like 2 days before eating. And then you're finished. Thank you.